So with everybody telling you how to do something or what to do, sometimes you've just got to follow your own sense of what you want and your direction as you go down your path in the woods or as a reseller. This is Brian. We're not at the lake, but we're headed back to the lake. But I think we'll do lunch in the meantime. And behind me is the road back to town. In front of me is the park. It was a nice day. It's a good day to be a reseller. We took the opportunity after dropping off lots at the auction, items we wanted to consign and sell, to work on my garage cleanup, and picked up the lots I had bid on and won. When we get back to the house, I'll show you some of those. It includes a large Apple computer, which if it functions properly, I think I'm going to set up inside the green barn. So when we're running comps, I don't have to have a laptop out there once I get my internet straightened out. But just like reselling, we picked a park, decided to commit for the day, took a few steps down a path, decided it was a good park, kept going, got to a fork in the road, reevaluated which direction to take, took a few more steps. Eventually we got to a spot where the map didn't quite match the layout of the paths, and we figured out that fourth path did indeed lead down to the lake, the destination we were headed for. 2 minutes away, flowers and pizza. We'll give her a try. Stone Creek wood-fired pizza. Yeah, we've had a thing for wood-fired pizza ever since we lived in Naples, Italy. Great outdoor space. Nice big size for outdoor parties. Roll down canvas on those rainy days. Good seating, outdoor picnic tables, music. About the only detractor is that giant walk-in freezer fan over there. So we moved down to the corner here while we're waiting for the pie. I love their logo too on their t-shirts. It says, Stone Creek, pie till I die. Rosie, of course, spotted the wind chimes right away. And they got a couple of gas heaters. This whole build out here must be relatively new because there's no gas supply line to those heaters yet. So I guess you have to find your own source of heat. Like the barn door over there. Wood-fired pizza, breadsticks, companion. I got it all. So what did you think?
I like the bark parts.
You could do without the yellow jackets, huh?
Yep.
They're also enjoying the pizza. All in all, a good experience. Good music. I like that door. This is Brian.
I'm Rose.
And we're out at the lake. Actually, today we're in the barn because it's a little windy today outside. So we're sitting in the green barn in front of my photo studio. And in a minute, I'll be shifting over to showing the collection we did today at the auction. Because we went out and we did a consignment drop-off, we did a consignment pickup, and then you took us to a park and we spent an hour or two wandering around, which is a good distraction when you're a reseller. You can set your own hours. You can decide to take time in the middle of the day, and you can get out and enjoy nature. And then what'd you do? You took me to a wood-fired pizza place.
Yes, closest thing I've had to Neapolitan pizza since we lived in Naples, Italy.
It's very nice.
I liked it really well. But yeah, we need the exercise as well, so it's always good to get out into the parks. Find out what walking areas there are in your own neighborhood so that you can get out and get a little exercise and see the sights and enjoy just the outdoors.
Yeah, and as we travel to different places doing auction pickups, we get to see other people's neighborhoods. And your original plan for today didn't quite go off because it was closed on Tuesdays.
Yes, the initial park I was going to go to, it's only open from Wednesday to Sunday. So I guess check those hours before you head out if that's what you're specifically going for.
I'm in the green barn. I'm in front of the photo area. We've been working on clearing this out, which is where the inventory that's being taken to the auction is primarily coming from. We're trying to take a look at topics that a lot of other providers, content creators, don't get into. We do a lot of auctions. We sell items on eBay, some untraditional. We do a lot of parting items out. We bulk things up. We sell new old stock. We sell commercial parts. And we do it on our own pace and our own time because we are retired. So we're at that point in life where it's not so much about being a 9 to 5. It's not about logging hours. We do it to augment our income. Sometimes the money gets spent on the grandkids. Sometimes it gets spent on a trip domestically or abroad. Sometimes it funds a thing like my new truck, even though I had to pause the other day and think, my new truck's now 10 years old. Things are a little bit different. Time is a little different when you get to our age and you're retired. If you comment, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, or take a look at the playlist because there are lots of other topics about reselling and retirement that you may find interesting. So the first item on the list that we picked up at the auction is an iMac. And you're probably saying, boy, that's old, obsolete technology. Why would you ever spend $45, $50 and buy an iMac? Mostly it's curiosity. I'd never had an iMac. I've had always had MacBook Pros, going way back to when I had an Apple IIc when my 50-year-old daughter was 5 or 6. But I wanted to give it some thought because as my eyes age and I have begun looking at YouTube content creation, trying to run the editing software and the cursor head, the playhead, trying to see that little line to make clean clips is becoming more of a challenge. So this is kind of a precursor attempt to see whether a big screen would make any of this easier. My plan is to consider putting it, if it works, because you never know from an auction lot, is to put it to work here in the green building once I have my internet straightened out, and maybe use it to check comps and to do a little work for me, rather than spend another $1,700 like I just did on another MacBook Pro. So we're going to turn this thing on. Hopefully we'll hear the Apple tune and we'll get some video. But in addition to the iMac unit itself, which if you've never seen one, it's basically an all-in-one computer that looks like a big screen TV. And then you have accessories like a keyboard and a mouse or whatever else you want to plug into it. They've got lots of ports and lots of connections, and they're still making them. So there are modern iMacs out there. Another alternative I considered before ordering the Apple that just came in the mail last week was to go with a Mac Mini. Same concept. A little computer in a box, and then you plug in whatever TV monitor or computer monitor you want at whatever size you want, and then you get a keyboard and you plug it in. The nice thing about the Mac Minis is that the other peripherals, the monitors, the keyboards, they don't have to be Apple, so you can save a little money not buying Apple branded products. But I've also got this out here, and I've wondered from time to time whether it could be hooked into a computer. I haven't used it much, but this TV, and there's the doorway, so you can see how big this TV is. It was given to me by a friend. It came out of a house she sold, and when she downsized, her husband had passed, so she didn't want a TV this size in the new house. So she gave it to me, and I mounted it up here so I could see it anywhere in the workshop while I was out here working. And like I said, I haven't really used it yet, other than mounting it and making sure it worked. But like the Mac Mini or the iMac, they could be hooked to this TV because these big smart TVs are basically a computer in a box. The box just happens to look like a TV. All right, first thing I had to figure out is where the power button was on this. And I can see, hopefully that's a smudge and not a problem with the monitor. But if it is, this monitor is so big, I will use it till it dies while I evaluate this as a potential future choice for me. It's booting up. Let me go ahead and lose the selfie stick.
And set up your Mac. If you would like to learn how to use VoiceOver to set up your Mac, press the Escape key.
Wow, it's working so far. Can't seem to get past this screen. The keyboards don't seem to be controlling the cursor. I put new batteries in the mouse. No effect. Put those batteries in the cordless and the wireless keyboard. Still no effect. Since these probably came out of a storage unit and were sold at auction, the wireless keyboard and mouse may not even have been ever hooked to this system. So I guess I'll have to go down a rabbit hole for a while, do a little studying on how an iMac powers up, and see if I can get it past this opening screen. I'll show you what we picked up at the auction. Here's a lot of anime type books. My Hero. Tsubasa. Blood. And it looks like at least two, edition 1 and 2 of Lucky Star. We've also got BESM Monstrous Manual, the Manga Guide to Physics, and Shimada Humik Kani artworks. So we'll check their value and see what I've got here and decide what to do with them. The two Lucky Star books are an obvious lot. They'll go up together. We'll run the comps and check the value. Anime. Next item is a Fire and Axe sealed Viking Saga board game. I ran a comp on this one, and I paid $7 for this one. So I ran the comp beforehand. I should make a little money. Here's a random group of books. Some Shakespeare. I Buried My Heart at Wounded Knee. Some more Shakespeare, so that'll be a lot. Some Star Wars books. And a Harry Potter. And what I do with these if they don't have enough value to list is I wait until I get a little more. Like Star Wars, I have a stack of Star Wars stuff. Then I split it up into lots. Either put it up on eBay or we run it in our own auction, which we haven't done for a while. So when we do that one next, when we get a little more space here in the shop, I'll make sure I get some footage of that. And more Pokemon books. And I've got a stack of Pokemon, just like I've got a stack of Star Wars. Another Pokemon. A third Pokemon, some Justice League, some Lego Batman, cover's really rough on that, and one more Pokemon. So a lot of Pokemon, Batman, superheroes. $12.50 for that last stack, starting with King Lear and ending with Lego. Alright, with the anime books, I look around in the auction, and I found a little bag of anime figures. Now, interestingly enough, the photos the auctioneer took, the arm wasn't there on this figure. But I've sold incomplete figures before. Sold one about a month ago. Guy had the parts to fix her, sent me a photo afterwards showing me what he had done with her. In this case, the arm and hand were in the box. They were just loose. And I spotted that, she comes apart in a few places. There we go. Here's one that looks like a Sailor Moon figure. Here's one that looks like Edgar Allan Poe, and if I'm not mistaken, there should be a raven on his shoulder. Another one, here's another one, looks incomplete. I'll check her for value as parts. If not, I'll put her in a lot and somebody can pick her up that way. For me, with these little lots of anime type figures, As long as there are one or two figures in the group that will pay for the lot price and buy some profit, I'll buy them and take a look at what I can find and do with them. For instance, this one was loose in the bag. You can't see it over there. That's the hair ribbon and hair that happens to go onto the back of this. And she's missing a leg. But the way these work is they're actually in several pieces. You can see it here. Her weapon might be loose. Her legs probably pop off. And when I photograph it, I will show the pieces loose like this so that nobody can mistake what they're getting in the lot, and I'll call it parts or parts and repair. And I'll sell the pieces. And somebody else who has lost one of these little pieces will buy this and make their figure complete. You just got to price it right. So there you can see her put back together. I put her hair ribbon in, put her foot back together. And yeah, I'll show some photos of her like this, and then I'll show her disassembled, and we'll see what we can do with her. The anime figures, well, 3 animes and a Edgar Allan Poe. I paid $5. The 2 larger ones are complete. He's missing his Raven. She's parts. Sometimes when there's something like that missing, I'll send a note, take a picture, send a note to the auctioneer and say, hey, if you find this part laying loose on the floor, set it aside for me. I'll pick it up next time I'm over. Couple more little action figures. I think these were about the only ones in the whole auction that look like this, you know, the modern Marvel type. So they don't bring much. What I'll do is I'll put up an auction with a bunch of trading cards, comics, action figures, and I'll concentrate on the whole, you know, Marvel and DC worlds and focus people in because the titles will be all about the same kind of thing. Often these kind of lots fall through the crack simply because they're orphans in amongst everything else. And along that same line, Marvel Comics. These are boarded and bagged. You can see, oh, that one's loose. This one's boarded and bagged. Hulk, Iron Man. I like the more unusual ones. Spawn, Venom. There's a couple of Venoms in case I need to put it up as a lot. Some Civil War, another Iron Man, and a Deadpool. Deadpool is one of my favorite characters, probably simply because of his rude, sarcastic humor and irreverence. And last but not least, now it came with the bag, soft bag, a couple of Milwaukee chargers. These are for the M12, the small triangular batteries. Still viable systems. And what I'll do is I'll put this up as a listing with a quantity of 2, sell them separately. This one will go up on its own unless I find a small Milwaukee tool that I can send it along with to increase its value. I used to buy a lot of tools. I used to attend auctions just to buy tools. Anymore, don't do that as much. But I am clearing out a lot of tools that I brought down from Seebeck. And if you want to see some of that, what we find in the Seebeck lots, go ahead and go to our playlist. In fact, if you want more videos about auctions, go to our playlist, take a look, and I've made some categories in the playlist. Pick one, enjoy. All right, this is Brian. It's time for me to go see what sold today while we were gone and do some packing. But it always cracks me up when they spend the money on signs. Now, you can almost understand the cost of one of these paved trails. We don't have many of these in our county. This county must have more money. But it does create a beautiful experience for somebody, especially if they're in a wheelchair or handicapped or old like I am. It's much more pleasant to walk than it is a path in the woods. But all the signs out in nature crack me up. And remember, please do not disturb the wetlands. And of course, in case you missed the first sign, there's several more along in here. I tell you, the signs kind of disturb me. And this one, look at the size of this post to hold that littlest sign of all. It's got to be a 8x8 post to hold that sign. All the little signs and all the little squirrels. We saw Doug earlier. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. We might hear some frogs, but we've gotten far enough down there. There's like park benches to... Oh, that's a fir. So that's a little fir seedling growing out of a nursery stump under the shade of a big leaf maple, which isn't all that big yet. And of course over here are the white bark on the alders. So you can tell with all the alder we're nearing the edge of the wetland. Now some of these trees with the white bark, especially those that are growing in clumps and rotting early, that's cottonwood. It really is a weed tree. Stinks a little bit too when you cut it up for firewood. You just saw woodpecker?
Yep.
Pileated woodpecker. He went that way, huh? But Rosie found the wetlands. And they put a nice bridge. There's one of these over in Kitsap County called Thayer, and they did the same thing to keep people from ruining the edges of the wetlands. They've turned around and made a boardwalk out through them. That way you can see and enjoy without actually eroding and causing problems. After the construction equipment was done anyway. You're right, that wood grain is pretty on those rails, but whatever they use to coat it, maybe they just go gray naturally. Kind of like someone else I know. But this does remind me of our trail through the woods at the Seebeck house. In the dry part of the summer, all the water goes away, and as the rain comes back in, we ended up with an increasingly larger pond, large enough that the wild ducks would come in and land. But yeah, oh, little art on that mid-span viewing place. It's a very nice piece of art, Rosie, and it only detracts a little bit from the view of the wetland. Looks like laser cut off of old steel. And more boardwalk to go. See, this viewing place setup makes more sense. A bench rather than a big piece of art. Oh, and then we've got another one of these info commercials. The Olympic mud minnows. But yeah, there's no water to speak of down in there right now. But give us another month and a half and they'll be all wet. Somebody funded this place very well. Yeah, good foundations. This should last a long time. But today isn't about the destination, which is a lake at the end of the boardwalk. It's about the journey, right, Rosie? Loop trails are nice because you don't see the same thing going in and out. If the land's big enough and the pocket park is large enough, why not have loops? Now we're on one of the loop trails. Should take us over by the other lake and then eventually back around. I hear a woodpecker too.
Because we like it.
Yeah, this is a connecting path.
And you are here.
You are here!
We are here.
Oh wow, they actually gave us a map this time. So one part, that one, goes back towards the car, and one part, this other one, heads over towards the lake, though we may never actually see the lake. Does it show where this little tiny third path goes?
That's the one. That's the one that actually goes over to the trailhead parking.
No, this one goes to the trailhead parking. I know your sense of direction is a little skewed, but the car would be back that way. We came down this path, right? So something would take us back. And the other one, right?
I want that one.
You want the main one. But I'm just saying there's one here that isn't on the map. So there's a little clearing over there, or at least it gets bright amongst the trees. So if I had to guess, the unmarked trail leads down to the lake. And that's the one we've decided to take, though we'll probably have to double back. See, we're out of the firs and heading downhill, so I suspect the lake is back behind those bushes. And we came from the firs. And just like reselling, the path we took to find our destination was not on the map. That fourth little trail led to the lake. Look at all the lily pads and grasses. I wasn't even sure this one had enough volume.
Somebody's home.
Yeah, somebody's home. I wasn't even sure this one had enough volume to actually have water in it this time of year. I like it. Take a selfie with me? What'd you say?
Yes.
We found the lake. We found our destination. But it was the journey that was important.
It's always important.
And when I said, what'd you think of the thumbnail? She said, your thumbnail was fine. I'll need a little more than that. You know, I'm in that phase where I'm beginning to make videos, learn the equipment, pick a topic, try to stay on track, get my points across to people who are also retired or just considering the reselling business and who are further back on the path than I am.